I'd like to speak about the relationship between man and environment, humankind and the natural environment. We originated less than 200,000 years ago in Eastern Africa, and then about 85,000 years ago we started moving toward the rest of the world in 4 different waves of expansions, first in Africa and then the other continents. Our ancestors experienced since the beginning a very deep relationship with nature, because like any other animal we have to cope with the environment, with our competitors, prey, predators, and so on. So our relationship was very true and deep. And since then, this relationship is part of us, of our nature. So many poets in modern times, even in ancient times, artists, designers, even scientists were inspired by nature. And it's part of our way of living. Quite recently has been studied the effect of Quite recently has been studied the effect of nature in our brain, in our behavior. So we know that staying in nature is for us something that makes us healthier, richer, and even more creative, and has positive effect on the brain. But starting from some years ago, human population moved to cities, and so we live more and more indoor. And so 2007 was the turning point where roughly 50% of the human population starting to live in cities instead of in the countryside. And there are some figures that say that about 1950, about 30% of people lived in the countryside, but by 2050, maybe roughly 70% of people will live in cities. So the first effect is we have no more direct contact with nature. We are part of it. We depend on it. We still depend on nature like our ancestors depended on nature, but the contact is no more functioning. We are just put apart. So what is our relationship with nature nowadays? How are we connected? And looking for some inspiration for this talk, I browsed the internet and found a new concept for me, which is nature connectedness. It's the extent to which we feel part of nature, and can change by our experience. It can change from one person to another. It's like a character. And some studies has been done in this sense, and the 3 main components of nature connectedness are the 3 here, which is a cognitive component, how I feel part of nature. It's a component of affective component, individual sense of care for nature, and a behavioral component, how I'm committed to do something to preserve nature. All these 3 made this concept. I started my career as a wildlife biologist, as I still am, working on the field on wild mammals and wild birds. And at a certain point, I felt that something was missing, because everything we were looking for, every research, has not sense if the people were not connected. If we don't have people part of our joke, part of the play, because we need to have more engagement of society in what we want to do to preserve the environment. We have no more time. We have to run. So I came across citizen science. Citizen science, it's just the involvement of people in the scientific questions, in the scientific research, in many different fields. And it's just made up of involvement, participation, and feedback. It can give results at different levels. So citizen science can be the response. And I started working on citizen science with several colleagues from Europe mainly. And I discovered that citizen science can have different levels of participation. You can just participate collecting information given to a researcher, which is the contributive citizen science, or you can play different rules till the extreme citizen science, which is taking part on all the stages of research, from the first hypothesis to the publication of the results. And so we know that citizen science can be applied to many different fields, like medicine, biology, but astronomy, the study of any field of modern research, and can be applied in many different ways. There are several examples, and it's a very quickly growing field. This is an example from the USA, where hundreds, thousands of people are collaborating, collecting information on the migration of birds. And so it's impossible to have the same result with just few researchers working on the field. It's possible if you engage all the people that can help you and want to help you and learn about this experience. So these are carried out by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology in Ithaca, New York. But there is also many European examples. Opal is maybe the biggest one in Europe. It's led by the Imperial College in London, and it's just made up of many different surveys involving people in the collection of information about data quality of water quality, soil, bugs count, tree health, many different fields, and people can play a big role. Another one, just for give you an example, is the mosquito alert, which is a way to help researchers to spot the new species of mosquitoes. And you know that there are some mosquitoes that are coming from other countries, and some of them are bringing diseases. So it's very important to spot them on time. And there are many, several other experiences made. And the process behind a citizen science project, it's the same of that of a science project. So it's like identifying what we'd like to study, find out the best solution to do it, the best experts, and find the tools for do it, collecting information, evaluating them, and then at the end publishing the results. So exactly the same of real science. It's real science. And so we started to do that at our Natural History Museum, which is based in Grosseto, southernmost part of Tuscany, and is a small regional museum. And we wanted to put people in contact with nature, and so bring the museum outside and let the people doing both the experience within the museum and collecting information outside. It was nowadays is our mainstream. Many activities was shaped for this purpose. So we started doing bioblitzes, which are experiences of 24 hours on the field, even during night, involving researchers and regular public, collecting information on the biodiversity of a certain place, or courses for citizen scientists, and so on. So we provide many different tools to people, and the response was quite interesting. And these are some results, some reports for the information we collected, some leaf sheets that we give to the people to go in the field to collect information. And we also had some scientific papers published in international journals on, in this case, the distribution at the national level of the crested porcupine, for example. And we had also the fortune to be part of the small group of people that started establishing the European Citizen Science Association some years ago, that was established in 2014. And then now the European Citizen Science Association is quite a wide one, with members from different parts of the globe, and we are actively working. And almost in the same period, even in the USA and Australia, are the two large associations born. And so now we are 3 associations working together at the global scale to exchange information, to exchange good practices, and to put forward this new field, which is citizen science. And so at the end, we can say that, at least for environmental citizen science, we can give another help pushing our nature to be more involved, and involving people, engaging people in the field, trying to partially recuperate that the lack of knowledge that we saw at the beginning. So coming back to the first scheme here, we could say that maybe the natural connectedness could be also completed by another concept, which could be knowledge through citizen science. So if we all are engaged, if we all are part of a same process, we can feel that that biodiversity is also mine or yours, and we can play a role in that. So this is quite relevant, important. And so that's why we have to say that citizen science can be made up of different solutions and can be applied to different fields. So the limit is just being creative. So the final, we could say sky is the limit. Thank you.